Then I said, my God, there must be some new treaties also they must have entered into. I found that 6 months before, they had called the Swiss minister here. They signed a protocol. Please go and read this protocol and it will raise your temperature and your blood pressure. In that protocol, they gave an undertaking that we shall seek information only after 2012. All previous matters and crimes completely suppressed. What do you do with this shameless government? Except to stone them on public roads, nothing is left now. Otherwise, strengthen democracy. I wanted to ask Anil Kumar how to strengthen this democracy, that we have become eunuchs. The educated people have become greater eunuchs because the uneducated people have at least the excuse that we don't know. What are you lawyers doing? Have you read the Supreme Court judgment? Why have you not responded? Why have you not reacted? So ladies and gentlemen, this is the big fraud that is going on, and ultimately the Supreme Court made 2 orders. Disclose all the names to the petitioners. And second, a high power committee supervised by 2 Supreme Court judges, one of them a Reddy. You heard of the reputation of Reddys. At least a person with some sense of self-respect and attachment to the country and the good of the people would have said that now the Supreme Court has given us this order, let us start investigating. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing of the kind happened. What they did was, after some time, Mr. Reddy retired, so Mr. Nijjar, the other judge, became alone. They first tried to make a review petition, that didn't succeed. Then they made a petition that in the interest of justice, we want this order to be reviewed. The interests of justice are all on the other side. It is only injustice which is on your side. And I am glad to say that they found a judge in the Supreme Court who has said that this requires a review and everything is at a standstill. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you youngsters to fight the Supreme Court. Leave it to us. We will carry on that fight at our level. Because you can't do it, you can't afford to do it. I can afford to do it. I will do that in the Supreme Court. But ladies and gentlemen, it is a shame that the Supreme Court has been persuaded by the government of India that this high-powered committee should not aid at the thieves and the dacoits. I accept what Anil Kumar said this morning. Our democracy is weak. Our democracy is weak because educated people, by and large, have lost their sense of self-respect and their national pride, and are prepared to cooperate with the corrupt. Thank you.
I think it's all in your bag. May I now ask KTS Tulsi, my good friend, to make his presentation.
My dear friend Anil, Ram, the impassioned, the greatest of inspirations that is there with the bar today. Prashant, who has done extremely laudable work in the last 20 years in hundreds of causes of critical interest to the nation. Well, I want to say that money in foreign banks is a shame and it's a big problem. But a bigger problem perhaps is that about the same volume of black money is generated every year in this country. which is also within the country. There's parallel economy. How does it get generated? And how does it flourish? And what are we going to do about it? What have we done about it? It is said that money is like fire. An element as little troubled by moralizing as earth, air, or water. Men can employ it as a tool, or they can dance around it, as if it was the incarnation of God. Money votes socialists and monarchists. It finds a profit in pornography, or even in the translations of Bible, in commissions by Rembrandt, and underwrites the technology of Auschwitz. It acquires the meaning from the uses to which it is put. The glaring statistics about black money, they never are quite accurate estimates, and they wildly fluctuate. But the Swiss Banking Association report 2006 has said that India has more black money than the rest of the world combined. India has stashed almost, according to their report, 1.456 billion black money in the Swiss banks alone. Swiss banking officials have said that largest depositors of illegal foreign money in Switzerland are Indians. That's according to the headlines today. The glaring statistics also say that it is estimated that around 500 billion in illegal money of Indians is deposited in tax havens abroad. The largest depositors in Swiss banks, of course, even according to Director CBI, are the Indians. The Income Tax Department has secured 17 voluntary disclosures out of the 700 suspected. The amounts disclosed range between 50 crores to 300 crores. What are the sources of black money? And what are the problem areas? The sources are firstly the International Narcotic Control Strategy Report. According to that, the first source or the cause is India's emerging status as a regional financial center and its large system of informal cross-border money flows. The first source. The second, widely perceived tax avoidance problems. And the third, the country's vulnerability to money laundering activities, that is terrorism. The sources and problem areas the first source is, of course, narcotic trafficking. The second source is the wildlife smuggling. Third is illegal gems. Fourth, smuggling by itself of various articles. Fifth is trafficking. Then comes corruption and income tax evasion. Historically, because of the location of India between the heroin producing countries of the Golden Triangle and the Golden Crescent, India continues to be a drug transit country. the famous case of Hassan Ali. The unexplained balance in the UBS account in Zurich, 37,154 crores. Unexplained transfer to Messrs. Siren, 49.72 crores. Unexplained payment to Philip Anandraj, 7.39 crore. Unexplained transfer to SK Financial Services, 3.59 crore. The income shown in the returns of Hassan Ali is only 1.25 crore. In April 2011, Hassan Ali Khan, the Pune-based businessman, accused of massive money laundering, was arrested. The Enforcement Directorate has charged him of having invested illegally 28 million Swiss francs to buy a hotel in Switzerland, 350 crore in the UBS account in Singapore, and stole some of Nizam's jewelry. He is presently lodged in the Arthur Road jail in Mumbai, accused of the offences under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, cheating, forgery, and various offences under the Passports Act. The anti-money laundering legislation in India, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, seeks to prevent money laundering activities and provides for confiscation of property derived from or involved in money laundering. It was enacted on 17th January 2003 and brought into force on 1st July 2005. The administrative machinery that is sought to be put in place is Financial Intelligence Unit and the Enforcement Directorate for investigation and prosecution of money laundering activities. Under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Section 3, the offence of money laundering, and Section 4 provides for the punishment which will be imprisonment not less than 3 years, extendable to 7 years, and which may extend to a fine. The Prevention of Money Laundering Act also imposes obligations on banking companies, financial institutions, and the securities market to maintain records, furnish information, and to verify the identity of clients. Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act 1999 also seeks to take care of such criminal gangs which are operating in the state of Maharashtra and need to be curbed. Under Section 3 of the MACOCA also provides for the minimum punishment of 5 years, confiscation of property, etc. The efforts of the government in tackling black money in India, there's a 5-pronged strategy. The first is joining the global crusade. The second is to create appropriate legislative framework. The third is setting up of institutions to deal with illicit funds. Fourth is developing systems for implementation. And fifth is imparting skills to the manpower. India has joined the global crusade by joining the 34th as a 34th member of the Financial Action Task Force on 25th June 2010. It joined the Egmont Group, an international network for fostering improved communication and interaction between the financial investment units, and it has joined the Asia Pacific Group against money laundering. It's created appropriate legislative framework. It has completed negotiations of 22 new tax information exchange agreements with various countries. 11 of these have been approved. Negotiations are going on with regard to double tax avoidance with 40 countries. These negotiations have been completed. The Direct Tax Code Bill has been enacted to have new measures for countering black money. In February 2012, India became the 13th country and the first non-OECD nation to ratify multilateral convention on mutual administrative assistance in tax matters. It seeks to promote transparency and exchange of tax-related information amongst the nations. The government has planned to set up the Exchange of Information Cell. It has approved creation of Director of Income Tax Criminal Investigation, and the government has set up Income Tax Overseas Unit in 2 of the Indian missions abroad, with further provision for 8 more units in the future. I would like to end with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Capital as such is not evil. It is wrong to use, it is the wrong use that's evil. And as the nation flourishes, these problems are only going to multiply. Thank you.
I think one comment, my friend Tulsi told you that in 2011, Hasan Ali was arrested and interrogated for the first time. But the complaint against him was made by government on January 8, 2007 for 4 years until the Supreme Court created this pressure on the Solicitor General who was then appearing. He was not even interrogated for 4 years, and that led many members of the media to believe that he was fronting for very powerful individuals. With this, may I ask Prashant to make his presentation. I must acknowledge the presence of Shanti Bhushan ji who has come and who is going to help us in the next session.
Distinguished people on the dais, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here to talk about an issue which is of great importance to this country and of great interest to me as well. Dr. Arun Kumar told you about his estimates of the black economy. He said 50% of the GDP consists of the black economy. Mr. Jethamalani told you about various estimates of how much money is abroad. He said $1.5 trillion, which is 75 lakh crores, which is roughly equal to the GDP of this country. That is possible, though nobody has any concrete evidence about how much of Indian money is residing in banks abroad, illegally residing in banks abroad. There is some reason to be skeptical about these figures, about the money residing abroad, because as experts have pointed out, in most of these tax havens where this money is supposed to be residing, there is no return on this money. The return is virtually zero. And it's also very easy, very simple, very easy to launder this money and bring it back to India and invest it in the stock market or in properties in India through a device. One of the devices is called participatory notes, where the owner of those participatory notes is not known, is totally anonymous. It's quite interesting that the Indian government has not only allowed this device of participatory notes to be used for all kinds of investment, particularly investment in the stock market in this country, where the owner of those funds who are investing in the stock market remain anonymous. And the Indian government has not only allowed that, but indeed encouraged that. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee in his budget speech this year has said that participatory notes will not be taxed in India. This is in line with the Government of India's standing double taxation avoidance agreement with Mauritius, which, as Dr. Arun Kumar would have told you, has become a tax haven. Mauritius today has all the characteristics of a tax haven. That gentleman who was an income tax commissioner who did this double taxation case of Mauritius in the Supreme Court has written a whole book about it, pointing out how Mauritius has become a tax haven in the sense that it has all the characteristics of opacity, that you cannot get information even about corporations registered in Mauritius, about what kind of bank accounts they hold, who are the owners of those corporations. Nothing is revealed. The result is that not only more than 50% of the foreign investment coming into India is being routed through Mauritius by means of post box companies which are set up, which are called offshore business entities. Offshore business entities are registered in Mauritius under the Mauritius Offshore Business Activities Act, under which any company which is a foreign company, foreign to Mauritius, can get itself registered as an offshore entity, and thereafter under the law of Mauritius it is not allowed